Now this event now is being recorded. Okay, maybe ladies, it's 2 minutes past 1. I know more people will be joining because we have more registrations, but let us make a start just in the interest of time and just to honor everybody's time and coming in on time. Let me share the, I have a couple of slides which I would like to share with you before we make the start. Now, okay, very good. And now I need to do this. And okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You ladies are nodding, so very good, thank you. Okay, let's make a start. Thank you so much for joining this session. Those of you who have been coming to my sessions regularly would know that this is the 8th part in the Career by Design series. This time we're talking about overcoming imposter syndrome, owning your own success. It is a very interesting topic. I've seen also the interest on LinkedIn in this topic, and it always amazes me how much interest this topic generates despite so many sessions, so many books and everything else. It just shows that this is a really, really important one and not very easy. So let's try and demystify this imposter syndrome today. Very briefly, for those of you who are here for the first time, and apologies for the regulars because they have been seeing this every time they join. A very, very quick introduction of me. Why am I here and why am I talking? I'm Izabela Kramasz, and I've spent more than 25 years in the corporate world, finance and strategy, mainly at top financial institutions globally. I live and work in Switzerland, in Zurich. I was working at various levels and the executive level in the corporate world, and at some point I decided to pivot to coaching. I have always been coaching as a part of my role as a line manager and a senior leader. But at some point I decided that although I have always loved the corporate career, I decided it's time to pay it forward or pay it back, if you like, and support others in a different manner. So I founded this company, Transformentum, which is a consulting and coaching company. I'm especially passionate about empowering female high achievers in the corporate world to take the next step in their career, because I've been there and I've done it, and I know how difficult it is still for women to advance in their career, and especially for women in middle management, and especially in the corporate world. So that's me. I set up this series on LinkedIn, which is called Career by Design, and I'm introducing it in the opposite to Career by Default, which often happens to us if we don't manage our own career proactively. And many of us don't. But career happens, it will happen, and if we don't manage it ourselves, someone else will. Those seminars or webinars are hosted on LinkedIn every week, every Wednesday, 12 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Central European time, and they are all about career management topic under the umbrella of Career by Design. It's designed for you, high-achieving women in the corporate world, to help you take control of your career journey and achieve long-term success and fulfillment. If you like the series, if you like the topics, if you are passionate about your own career, please do join my community. Please do join me in those seminars. The series is 13 webinars on different topics under the umbrella of career management. And after the 13 series, there will be another one. 13 because it fits in one quarter. Okay, off we go now to the topic, ladies. Yeah, forgot one more slide about why career by design. Career by design is a proactive approach where you take charge of your professional journey and design your career that aligns with your passions, values, and skills. And this is what I am passionate about. Designing a career that is aligned with, first of all, what you believe in and what you value, and then what you like or love doing, and then with your skills. I'm not very precious about weaknesses, or it's important to improve weaknesses, but it's even more important to leverage our skills. So now, this topic today, overcoming imposter syndrome and knowing our own success. As I said, I'm always astonished how much interest this topic generates, especially among women. And I will be talking about imposter syndrome today, especially in the context of women and their careers. I would love this session to be an interactive one. At the end of the session, there will be time for questions, but please do interrupt me if you have questions. Please do comment. Please do shout if you disagree or agree. I can't see you all, but I believe you're still there. So please, if there is anything you would like to add, I would love to hear your perspective. Okay. Now, so what is imposter syndrome? In case some of us still don't know, I'm sure we do, but let's start from the very beginning. What we call imposter syndrome, it's this self-doubt or the feeling that you don't deserve your success, that you are not good enough, and that whatever happened to you by accident, chance, or stars aligning. It's attributing your accomplishments to, as I said, luck or external factors, and we are quite good at coming up with all the factors that we believe have contributed to our success. And it is also fear of being exposed as a fraud. This one is especially interesting because many of us fear or are afraid of, for example, publishing on LinkedIn, because we believe we have nothing to say. Or if we do have something to say, we think that there are others out there who have more to say. And if we even start, they will expose us as someone who doesn't know anything, in fact. And this is just one example, because it happened to me at some point as well. When I wasn't active on LinkedIn and before I started, I was really, really terrified. Like those webinars were also a leap for me. It was also difficult. So I'm just showing you those examples because I want you to know that it happens to absolutely everyone. As women, more often, and I think it's more damaging for us as well. But it happens across the board. So it's really this feeling like a fake. You don't belong, you don't deserve, you haven't accomplished anything by yourself or on your own. There is always something else or someone else who have done this with you or for you. Why does it happen? And that was an interesting one for me when I was digging deeper, because apparently there is no one single cause. There are several factors that contribute to imposter syndrome. And I will be talking about it a little more in a second, but personality trait, of course, is someone's a little bit shy or has a little bit less confidence than others. It's obviously easier to fall into the imposter syndrome trap. But upbringing and family dynamics contribute to it as well. Societal factors and dynamic as well, and the work environment. So these are the key ones. I'm sure you will be able to name more. I would like to spend some time on them and maybe demystify them and call them out, because this will help all of us to maybe find ourselves in it. So why it hits women even harder than men? And there will be a couple of things that I want to discuss here, and one of them is gender stereotypes. Those societal expectations that I mentioned, which make women feel like they need to be perfect to succeed. And it oftentimes happens in the form of women who are very much better educated than men generally, and women will be having, going for yet another course and yet another certification and yet another training, because they constantly believe that they need to learn more before they apply for a role, for example, take a task, get a promotion. And there is this belief that we constantly need improvements in order to be successful. Of course, and another one is this stereotypical image of a woman and a man. A woman natural is often seen by the society, or has been, or was, because it is changing, but I don't believe it is anytime soon it's going away. Women are seen as more nurturing and communal. Even the roles that they are playing in families and in society, like think about who in your family, for example, remembers all birthday parties or birthday dates, all anniversaries, and who then make sure that this is taken care of. These are those communal things that women are always associated with. Men, of course, are naturally assertive and competent. That's what we are led to believe. And of course, those stereotypes don't help. They can lead women to doubt the abilities and accomplishments. And this is really, really hard. This is so even unfair, because if you think about it, it's only because of the gender. Nothing else at play yet. Not even, anything on top. Just by the sheer gender, there is this disadvantage, because we need to break through those stereotypes still. And in some cultures, even more than others, and some intersectional women, for example, women of color, will have it even more difficult. So that's one. Another one is what's called the double bind. And the double bind is this, one would also say maybe double standard, when if women sometimes cannot win because they are doomed if they do, and they are doomed if they don't. If they are assertive, they may be seen as bossy or aggressive. And if they are not assertive, they may be seen as weak or incompetent. So they are caught between the rock and the hard place. And remember why we are talking about it now. We are talking about it in the context of the imposter syndrome. What's breeding imposter syndrome in women? Gender stereotypes is one thing. The double bind or the double standard is another one. There are microaggressions and biases as well, especially in the workplace. Those subtle forms of bias, discrimination, and aggression, they erode women's confidence. And I do remember we spoke about it at this forum as well, like women being frequently interrupted by men, talked over, or having their ideas dismissed or internalized in the way that someone says, oh yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to say, and then they take over and present it as theirs. And we are oftentimes not assertive enough to claim our own achievement or our own idea or thought. This can make us feel as if we don't belong, and then that the success is due to luck and not skill. I know there are things happening in the chat, and I wonder if there is anything that I need to. Yeah, that's spot on. Past trauma experiences also cause imposter syndrome. Absolutely, this is such an important one. And yes, women are sometimes ignored. That's exactly what we are talking about. This past trauma experience, Despa, I think it's a really, really very critical one, and a separate topic in a way that it does deserve like even a separate session. But it's very important. Thank you for contributing. And there is one more. This prevalent lack of female role models. And I don't want to say that there are no female role models, because there are more and more out there, but not as many in every field or every business area. So there are still business areas like, I don't know, engineering, for example, where there is less female. Politics is a classical one. And then the corporate world, the higher up you go, the less female role models there are. And if you think about it, it's very damaging, especially for young girls. If they don't see role models, they don't have role models, and they live in this societal expectations type of environment, it's very, very difficult to break through. It's very difficult to see that success is possible. So seeing more women in positions of power will help challenge stereotypes and inspire others. I think it's one of those factors that would definitely help. So if you think about all of those, this is where imposter syndrome comes from. And as you may remember at the very beginning, I was also mentioning personality traits. So depending on who we are as a person, those triggers or those factors can be more prevalent than others. And some of us may have it, may have a stronger one than the others. I think it's good to be aware of that, because once we are aware of that, we can work with it, manage it, and we should. And I know we are. So what are the common imposter triggers? So we know what are the factors that contribute to it, but what triggers imposter syndrome? And I encourage you to identify yours. I've identified mine already. Perfectionism is one thing, striving for flawlessness and delivering something, perfect, fearing mistakes. And this is something that I have been struggling with for years, not turning something up until it's absolutely perfect. But every time you look at it, it's never perfect, because there's always something to correct. And I have learned that done is better than perfect. But I know it in my head rather than in my heart, because in my heart I would still like to do everything absolutely perfectly. Comparing yourself to others, who doesn't do that? We always compare ourselves to others, especially in the corporate world, because there's always someone being promoted ahead of us. There is always someone, who stays even longer every day. And there is always someone who our line manager make like a little bit more than us. So focusing on others' achievements and feeling inadequate, it's definitely breeding the imposter syndrome. And minimizing our achievements, downplaying successes, and attributing them to luck happens very, very often. And this is because we don't believe in ourselves. Okay, I will not be finger pointing and asking you if you have identified yours. Yeah, but think about it, because I think it's important. So what is the imposter cycle? Because remember, we said here we are minimizing achievements and downplaying our successes. So what happens? And why we are doubting ourselves? So say you have this beautiful achievement, and because of all those factors that we discussed earlier, you all of a sudden think like, whatever it is, it couldn't have been that easy, or it couldn't be that simple. So what is it? Is it me? Or maybe not, yeah. First of all, it wasn't difficult. It was really easy. And then I was lucky. It was a really good timing. And there was this person who helped me. And when we play it all in our own heads, all of a sudden we are coming to a conclusion that it wasn't such a big deal after all. So we downplay our successes. And if you think about comparing ourselves to others, and we demonize other successes of others, it's a very, very straight way to feeling increased anxiety. And this increased anxiety is haunting us through the next achievement and next achievement and next achievement. So it's all happening in our head. But I think what also happens, and this is what happened to me frequently, once when I was in this vicious cycle, I was very prone to feeling even worse when I heard something, a comment or a feedback that I would consider as confirming what I think. And it's really, really difficult because then you are on the, you're out there looking for clues or looking for hints that you are right. And then even an accidental comment or a comment that could have been interpreted in a different way confirms this for you, and this is what breeds or what increases anxiety. Yeah, so what about you? Now, how can imposter syndrome hinder our career? So why is it important in the context of our career? I think you know because you are here, and also what we have discussed so far, I think is really very telling how this could hinder our career and be a roadblock for career advancement. Of course, it holds back self-promotion. Because if I think I haven't delivered, or I did deliver, but it was accidental, I was lucky. Like for years, I thought about my career, which started years back, the way that I was lucky. Because when I was hired in my first role in a bank, they were looking for someone who had a very, very good English, who was fluent in English. And I was. And at that point in time where I lived, it wasn't that common. So I thought, yeah, this was just luck, pure luck. And then I stayed in this career for 25 years, but I was always thinking that, okay, I was in the right place at the right time. And then everything happened quickly, but it was again in the right place in the right time. And it took me again years to understand that yes, it might have been a good timing, but I was good. I must have been good, otherwise I wouldn't have done what I have done. But this is a process, something that we need to sometimes, looking back, process through. But of course, we will not be self-promoting ourselves if we think we are not good enough, that it was just a good luck. And of course, it breeds self out. If I haven't delivered, if it's not good, what am I good at? What can I do? What else can I do? And then maybe I can get another certificate in this topic, in that topic, or work even harder, and they will find me eventually. No, they will not. If you don't self-promote yourself, and if you don't claim your successes, no one will notice. Or maybe they will, but only then when it suits their company. Of course, it diminishes confidence. And maybe the last one, increases stress and burnout because you are chasing something that to you never happens. And the last one here is more a broader thing because it perpetuates stereotypes, which is for us very important because we don't want those stereotypes to be bred and to be living even longer. So this is what happens if we feel this imposter syndrome. If this is what happens, what can we do about it? Before I go into what we can do about it, I will go into the chat and I will also ask you if you have any questions. Yeah, we do have comments. Nikki says that she has the same impression. I believe, Nikki, you have the impression about women being ignored, right? And if not, please shout.
Yes, and I also, if I may share a story, which is quite in my head since 3-4 years. It is not directly related to my workplace. I think my workplace is quite inclusive in that sense. But when I changed apartments in Switzerland as a single woman, end of my 30s, I changed into a bigger one. I changed into a more expensive one. And I got 2 comments. One from the comments came from the pizza restaurant owner across the street, and one from the comments came from an electrician who I needed to let into my home. And both of these men in their 50s saw me here in my own home, and they were like, oh, and how did you get this home? So they, they didn't understand how a single woman, and I also look younger than what I am. How can I afford a home like this? And, it's just, well, embarrassing for them that it really comes to their mind that a woman like me cannot achieve this.
It's a beautiful story, Nikki, and it's really astonishing how you're describing it. It's embarrassing for them, but they probably didn't see it as embarrassing if they made this comment in the first place. You felt embarrassed and ashamed,
I
and
did.
this
I
is
was
really,
surprised.
yeah, that's outrageous, isn't it? But yeah, it is, and it is a beautiful story. And how did you feel other than being surprised?
Actually, I think I didn't answer their questions. Honestly, I think their question was like, "Oh, how did you get it?" or something like that, and I said just I applied. I didn't go into detail about my background and my job and my roles or whatever. I was surprised that, they really asked this question. And that's one point, if they have it in their mind somewhere and they don't say anything, that's bias itself as well. But they did dare to ask the question.
Yeah.
I think I didn't answer the question. I just let it go, like I did not hear it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Nikki. And it's really appalling because it happens to us women a lot of times, or almost all the time. In a way, I don't want to say I want to excuse this behavior or try and find reasons why they do so. But if you think about it, in some countries, women couldn't, like I used to live in Dublin, in Ireland. And in Ireland, I was absolutely shocked that when I learned that until early 80s, when I think 1979, when Ireland joined the European Union and had fortunately changed some of their law to be on par with European Union. But until such time, single women were not allowed to have a bank account.
Wow.
They were not allowed to have a bank account because a bank account was open only for men. So if you think about this, if they couldn't have a bank account, how could they possibly buy anything for themselves, like not even, let alone a house? So I think there is a lot of things like that we don't even know or don't even remember anymore, that add to this attitude and to this mentality of people. And that's why you say this is why women should lift each other up, find mentors, coaches, ambassadors, allies, whether they are men or women. And you say you also believe in speaking up when we see microaggressions and tackle them to render support. Spot on. I do agree. That's what should happen. I think, though, that the latter is difficult because microaggressions often happen in meetings, say women with other women and men senior leaders, and if you are shut down, if you like, by a man or a senior than you, that's really, really difficult to say something. I don't say it's impossible. I think we should be doing it, or advocating for someone and saying to your boss, no, wait, actually, Nikki was talking. But that's what we should be doing. But oftentimes we are not at that point in time when we are not brave enough. Would you agree, Despo? Or would you have any tactics that we could?
Yeah, I do, in fact. And I love Nikki's example. And I'd like to share a quick example and answer your question at the same time. So I was part of this executive committee. Obviously, I can't give details. And there was this massive project that they were talking about. In fact, it's still going. It's about 7 times over budget. Nobody has been dismissed. And when they first did the tender, it was very interesting. I made a comment: be careful to go with a local provider who doesn't have international exposure, because you're putting all your eggs in one basket. and this comes from the HR person, right? Not the business. I'm in HR, but I'm also an ex-lawyer. And I ran business and regulatory affairs at the same time. And everybody looked at me around the table, and I said, I personally would not go with this provider. It ended up being absolute hell for the company. It's probably now 7 or 8 times over budget, and they still haven't finalized the project. So being ignored sometimes has consequences, and then you sit back when you're no longer there and you still see it going, you know. So then sometimes you need to just realize that, you know, I actually went to my CEO because I had a very good relationship with him, and I said, I want to give you some feedback, because we created a very inclusive culture, a speak up culture, but it took time. And then some people obviously don't feel safe to talk, because in the Middle East, certain nationalities are discriminated against sometimes, you know, and women or etc. or whatever. It's much better than it was. And I said to him, you know, I made this comment and I still believe that, but I want to tell you that everybody around the table just looked at me and carried on, including yourself. And that to me is not the correct way of addressing an executive. Otherwise, why are we having strategic conversations and having executive meetings? And he said, I'll address it. And he did, in fact, and said, everybody's view is taken into account over here. And one of the things I have advised, so I've stepped in when I've seen sort of this microaggression and stuff, because I am senior. And I think by not stepping in, you don't show courage, and also you go against your values if they're of integrity. And really, it is very difficult. It's a fine balance, because you've also got to look at your own sort of career. But it is your responsibility as an executive to also make sure that you protect your staff and the culture that you're trying to build in an organization. But it takes a lot of strength to do that, and a lot of energy sometimes.
Yeah, and this is, and you really pointed out to something very, very important, and thank you for this one especially, because what you said was that because you are an executive, because you are senior, and even though you haven't been heard. And how about the much younger, the ones who are only starting? I didn't mean much younger than me.
No, I understand.
And only starting, and the junior ones who, you know, I know junior ones who are not maybe invited to those senior forums, but they are also being talked over, and they are also being interrupted. And I think what you shared is seeing senior women doing this, I think gives the more junior ones more, first of all, role models, and then teaches them courageous and showing them that it is possible and it can happen.
Exactly, Isabella. And the thing is, those young, the people that are young in their career, they get scared to go into those meetings, because they watch how executives ignore them, literally sit on the phone and busy texting on their phones or working on their laptops while they're presenting. And so they say, well, what's the use of presenting? I'm not heard. And that's why you have to set those ground rules as well, not only in meetings, but in interactions too. But it is tough. And I've always been an advocate of standing up and for people, because I believe that you sometimes need to be the voice for those that can't speak up for themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as a HR person, are you doing something at the level of the organization? But because I also think that the organizations should be supporting, as you said rightly, the culture should support speaking up, not only having, oh, we value you speaking up, but walking the talk.
Yes, I created a lot of things very, very early on in the Middle East. I actually resigned from my position, and I finished my notice period last year, and I went into complete burnout. So I can completely relate to this imposter syndrome topic, because even through this journey, there are times when I apply for something and I think, and I have massive experience, you know, and my trigger is my perfectionism, just like yours.
Just like mine.
And so we were taught this one interesting rule at AXA, which I'd like to share with everybody, and then I'll keep quiet. The 80-20 rule. 80 is better than doing nothing. So rather do 80% well, and the 20% in any case, there's nothing like perfectionism, as you said. So I'm now applying the 80-20 rule, and I'm getting many things done in the last few days, you know.
Thank you so much. This is precious what you said. Thank you for sharing the story. with us. And it's, yeah, it's very, very important. 80-20 is a beautiful rule. And we all should be striving to do this. But it's not easy, is it? Not easy. Thank you so much, Despo. It's been really, really very useful. Thank you. Now, let's go into this toolkit. So how can we conquer imposter syndrome? As you said, it's not easy, but it's possible. No, it's not possible to go into the next slide. I don't know why, all of a sudden. Okay. I'm trying to, yeah, it's going, yeah. Okay, so what can we do and how we can, and I'm really encouraging you to add to this discussion. And if there is anything else that you would like to add as a good strategy, please shout. Reframing negative thoughts. And don't worry about it now, because I will be listing those strategies. And in case you're asking what, like what is she talking about? I will be talking a little bit more about each of them and how we can possibly implement those strategies. So we are trying to reframe the negative thoughts. And instead of, yeah, this is me not delivering again, coming up with a completely different mindset and a completely different thought. Let me come back to it in a second, and I will have examples. We need to celebrate achievements and stop self-doubting ourselves and attributing everything to luck or everything else. It's you achieving something or contributing to something, and do celebrate. Celebrate with yourself even. I'm often saying to myself, good girl, that was good, that was good. And then I feel better. Focusing on progress and not perfection, that's exactly what Despo was talking about. It will never be perfect because no one is perfect. No one is perfect, and we will not be, and we shouldn't be. Seeking support, and this is also what Despo was saying, coaches, mentors, allies, peers, and this is important because, Frances, can we please mute everyone? I think this would be helpful. Seeking support is important also because oftentimes we think we are alone with this, that this is only us. Yeah, I think we should.
Hi, Isabella. This is Shanaz.
Yeah.
Just wanted to chime in that you could actually mute others if you
I wonder
like.
how I can mute. Yes, yeah.
So you can.
Yeah. Hello. I think I have.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry, I muted myself.
Oh, I muted
you can just go.
Got excited about being able to mute people and muted you, but not because of what you said.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
I
Yeah.
can do mute all,
Okay.
perhaps, yeah, and then you will be able to unmute.
Yes,
Okay.
and then
yeah.
Yes, whoever wants to speak can unmute. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shanaz, and thank you, and apologies for muting you accidentally.
No worries.
Yeah, you see, thank you so much. And this is what the seeking support is about, because there's always someone out there who knows what you don't know. Okay, thank you. Seeking support, what I wanted to say is that it also helps to know that I may be thinking, oh, I didn't deliver again, and I'm a failure, and looking at everybody else. And because remember, we are comparing our insight into to everybody's outside, because you know everything about yourself, but you only know about others what you can see. It's never a fair comparison, but you always think that someone is better or has a better life or has an easier life or is whatever, looks better than you. And you don't know that they spent, I don't know how many hours to look whatever they look now. So it's important to seek support also around peers, because this is how you will learn that you are not the only one. And you are not the only one feeling like that or thinking like that. And then you may also learn, which I'm sure you will, that it wasn't a failure, that it wasn't fake, that it wasn't luck, that someone liked what you did, that someone appreciates what you did, and so on. And here what I want to say also is, if you are a line manager, if you have others who report to you, or your younger colleagues who you mentor or help, do acknowledge them as well. Do tell them, well done, that was good, thank you for presenting, or thank you for contributing, or whatever, because this was what helps people when they are ruminating and are in self-doubt all the time. And the last one is define your personalized action plan, because learning is good, but if we don't take action, we will, and my coach used to say that learning without action is entertainment. It's important to take action, and it doesn't have to be like a massive plan with milestones for the next 30 years. Just think about some small actions that you can take today and take regularly every day to help you go out of this imposter syndrome. Like what Despo was saying, knowing that you are a perfectionist, applying this 80-20 rule is already a plan. You know that this is what you're going to do, and it will be hard because there will be always this gremlin saying, yeah, it's not good enough yet, but then you need to remember that this is what you committed to, 80-20. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. And Nikki says she loves Despo's sharings, and I'm sure everybody does. Thank you once again, Despo. And Despo also says that she forgot to add finding sponsors as well, network and building your tribe that supports you. Yeah, absolutely. Don't try to do everything alone, because you will be the best kept secret. Thank you for sharing, Despo and Nikki.
And also, if I may add, and I'm curious about your impression and feedback on this, but recently I have felt that it's great that we have our, sisterhood and women's circles, and we support each other as women, and it's coming more and more to surface. But I really feel that we need the support of men. Nothing's going to change if there are no men who are standing on our sides.
Yeah, absolutely, Nikki. I do agree. I do agree that that cannot be diversity and inclusion based on women only working together. We do have to have men who understand that this is a problem, because I swear that I'm sure there's a lot of men out there who don't see a problem at all, because
Exactly.
they haven't seen it, say, in their families, for example, and they haven't seen it around their immediate surroundings, and they believe it doesn't exist. That's a really interesting one. Like I experienced this in my own family, because my eldest son had this those frames. Like he honestly he was discussing with me, saying that this is all a myth, that this is a red herring, that this is not happening anymore. And before I even knew it, I was completely shocked that, of all people, my own son is having this completely false impressions. But when I was thinking about it, like he grew up in a family where I'm the breadwinner and I work full time, and my husband also works full time. He's a psychologist by profession, but he is a stay-at-home dad, and he looks after I have 3 children, looks after the kids and the house and so on. So this is how my eldest son was growing up, and thinking that everybody has exactly the same model. So I think this is why we need to include men. And the reason why I'm also mentioning this personal experience is because I think it's important for us women to raise our children the way that they know and understand. So if you think about men who don't believe in this problem, or who don't support women, like someone has they have a mother and a father. Someone has been growing them up, right? So that's, I think this is yet again a big responsibility on us, parents and women as well as mothers, to raise our daughters. I don't have a daughter, but I would if I did. To raise our daughters the way that they are familiar and familiar with all those things and aware of them, so they know from the very beginning how not to fall into this trap, and then raise our sons the way that they are supportive. That's very important, Nikki. Thank you so much for sharing.
May I just add something, Isabella? That's why I said in my chat that it's men and women, and I find that men have been better allies and sponsors than some women, because women tend to be a little bit more competitive at times with each other. And not always, I don't want to generalize, but I think what you said is super important. My sister has twins. I don't have kids of my own, and we have raised her son and her daughter in an equal way, and he and I have open discussions about what happened to me during menopause and brain fuzz and how your performance drops, and because it's important that they understand the context and that you understand the male context as well, because it's super linked. You can't not have women in your organization, but equally so you can't not have men.
Yeah, super important. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
And
also agree with that perspective. Sorry, I just wanted to add.
Go on.
Yeah, I think that I completely agree with what was just mentioned, that we definitely need to include men in the whole equation, perhaps celebrate those, male allies who have been, our support in whether in our professional space or personal, so that they know that this is something that we celebrate, and it is needed. And I also agree on the point that sometimes women are not your best support. And I think that the broader perspective to that could be that they feel threatened, because there could be lesser number of opportunities for women based on all the situations that's there. So it's only number of opportunities that everyone is trying to leverage.
Shanas, thank you so much. Yeah, I do agree, absolutely. There's Madeleine Albright apparently said that there is a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. That's true. I'm not sure if this is because some women may think that that they will not be supporting other women because everybody's fighting or for their own position, and positions or senior position are scarce. Which is not, of course, the case, because they are scarce for everyone, right? But it may be that women are sometimes threatened equally by men and by women, and that's why they don't support other women. I'm hoping it happens less and less now across the organizations, because there's much more awareness as well. Yeah. But this is something really, really important. And again, it's important that men are included. I think it's a fine balance at times, because if we are bringing men, I was at a panel lately, and this was all about diversity and inclusion, and the whole thing was led by a man, and he was having a kind of like a lecture, and I deliberately choose the word lecture. And I kind of felt uncomfortable about it, and I feel this is like this was a universal feeling, because women, we don't like to be patronized, talked at, and we don't want this mansplaining and men at every occasion telling us what to do, how to look at things. And I think the organizers, they had a very good intentions. Maybe they haven't thought through how they chose their roles for every participant, because we do want to be seen as self-sufficient. We can manage, we can do a lecture, we can be a facilitator for this particular event, and it doesn't mean that we cannot or shouldn't have men. We should, but maybe the roles are important. Thank you. Okay, so those, yeah, I said I will be going through those strategies. I will do very quickly. It's easy because it's easier said than done. If I say like positive affirmations, it's very, very important. Like, but how do you do it, and why do you do it? You do it because you are replacing those limiting beliefs with more positive attitude. It shifts your focus to positive thinking as opposed to, yeah, I failed again, it's a yet again, and I'm a failure, and I'm this and that. If you go to a different mindset, it will be much easier to, to raise yourself up and keep going. And it empowers action as well, because if you're down again, it doesn't empower action, and you do have to act. I will be giving examples of those as well in a second. I think I've mentioned so many times at these sessions about success journal. I do believe in success journals, or as I call them, brag books, where you document your accomplishments, big and small. I do have one myself. I initially thought it was silly, but then when I started, I really like it. So when something good happens to you, someone says a praise or a compliment or whatever, someone will acknowledge your achievement, and you know you've done something really, really well, do make a note of it. Because when you will be in doubt, you can take this notebook and read it, and this provides tangible evidence how good you are. Again, it shifts your focus from your own perception to reality, and it tracks progress for you over time. When I read mine, I'm just sometimes like, wow, really? I did it, really did it. I can't remember anymore, but then it's really very, very satisfying. And it sparks positive reflection. It puts you in a different mood already. But what I like from all of those most is that it shifts focus from perception to reality. You're no longer in your own head only. You are with facts. And I think this has been mentioned today. Seek support, coaches and mentors. Connect with a mentor or a coach for guidance and encouragement. Those people can provide objective perspective when you don't believe in yourself anymore. They can shift perspective again. Sorry, can you still see my screen? Because for some reason I can't.
Yes.
And I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, yes, perfect. Coaches and mentors provide objective perspective for you. They can help you reframe the whole thing. They offer guidance and strategies, and they not only tell you what, but they will help you through the how. And they boost your accountability and encouragement, because they will be there for you, asking questions all the time. Have you done this? Have you done that? And how was this? How was that? And you knowing that you have someone who has your back, it will be so much easier. I also encourage you to look for coaches and for mentors and coaches within your organization, but also for a coach outside of your organization, or definitely your line management and your organization, because you may want to discuss things with this person that you wouldn't normally within your organization. Some politically charged things or whatever, and you may be feeling much more free with someone who is not close to your organization. Focus on progress, not perfection. Growth mindset, we spoke about it, so I will not be dwelling on this. Progress, not perfection. Growth mindset is all about embracing learning from mistakes, and being resilient and confident, as opposed to fixed mindset, which discourages risk-taking and believes intelligence is static and breeds fear of failure. These are all really wise words. What it means is, let's be in this growth mindset and keep going, learn from our mistakes, and do take control risks. Yeah, so I'm really finishing up now. I promised to, there's one more thing in the chat I just wanted to check. It would be interesting to know about the broader perspectives. I wonder if the early warning signals can be identified in terms of individual's perspective, says Shanaz. the internal factors and in terms of the environment's perspective, like early warning signals could help prevent the negatives earlier. A really important topic. Thank you so much for raising. I'm hoping we'll have a minute or so when we finish to answer that. I promise that I will go into some examples of how we can reframe our thinking into something more positive, how we can conquer this imposter syndrome that way. So sometimes you will say, oh, I don't deserve this promotion. I wasn't good enough. I just got lucky. And the flip side too is I worked really hard for this opportunity and my skills were recognized. That's what happened. Not that I was lucky because they decided to promote 2 people and not 1. And I all of a sudden was really the lucky one. And then you can say upfront, oh, there's no way I can do this. I'm not experienced enough. But if someone gives you something and if there is an opportunity, why don't you go for it and say, I do have the skills and knowledge to lead this project. I can learn from experienced team members and delegate tasks as needed. So look at the first one, the left-hand side, as it's fueled by fear, and like the opposite one is more believing in yourself. Everyone else in this meeting seems so much smarter. I shouldn't speak up. This is my favorite one because this is something that I've been living with for years. Like being really intimidated at meetings, although I was in the senior roles. And I had to learn how to turn around this negative self-talk into, no, that's not true. There is no one really smarter. Like we are all equal. And those people who are more senior and so on, they are same people as I am. It took me a while to understand it and internalize it. And this is a good one. My ideas and insights are valuable. I will confidently share my perspective and contribute to the discussion. Staying tall and strong and not being intimidated only because he's a little bit more senior than you or more senior than you. Or I negotiated my salary, but I probably should have asked for more. I don't want to seem demanding. Yeah, but if you say I do deserve fair compensation for my skills and experience, I negotiated effectively and secured a salary that reflects my value. And then my next favorite one, I failed that presentation. I'm a terrible public speaker. And if you do think that you failed the presentation, you can say everyone makes mistakes. I will learn from them, improve my presentation skills. And I can take a public speaking course if it's important for me and practice beforehand. So ladies, how about you? What action will you take yourself today and going forward? That's the very last slide, where I want to summarize everything I said. For your customized action plan, because we said do take action, start with identifying your triggers, whether it's perfectionism, comparison, whatever. Write down your specific triggers, what triggers you in a particular situation. Choose your strategy, like reframing, journaling, or documenting your successes. Consider other strategies that might work for you. You can flip between strategies. Once you have those 2, set SMART goals to work on your imposter syndrome and create a timeline for yourself. Don't push yourself too much, but do have a timeline because otherwise it will never happen. And then review and revise. Regularly review your action plan and revise it. So that was it for today. Thank you. Consider journaling or coaching to gain clarity. This is my favorite slide. And career planning, ongoing process. It's important to remain proactive and intentional about our growth and our development. That is it. I promised to finish before the top of the hour. It's been a little bit longer, but I really appreciate that discussion. I want to ask if there are any more questions, and I also want to ask you, Shanaz, if you want to elaborate on very briefly on what you said in the chat box about the early warnings.
Sure. So I wonder if factors can be identified, which take place early at the stage, when somebody is potentially driving towards being affected by imposter syndrome. So for example, if there are certain factors in the organization that is taking place, and then, there could be like team of people who could identify those and then stop them from happening. Or for example, in our personal life, if we are aware of certain things which can eventually make me have those symptoms, or get affected by imposter syndrome, then I could probably check. For example, if I drink too much, I can be an addict. If I am sleep deprived, I could be I could be sick, or I could be just not be able to perform the next day. So I think that there are a lot of discussion on the what happens once you get it, like what are the actions. But I'm just saying that it would be very good to know, like, what are the early warning signals that we could identify and prevent those from happening.
Yeah, and thank you for this. And I'm curious what others think, and do chime in if you have a view. I'm sure you do. But to me, two things here. One is seeking feedback. So if you don't know if there is something that you're doing, you can always ask for feedback from your colleagues, your line, and people you trust. So that's one thing. And the other thing is like observations and observing yourself. Because, for example, I knew this happens for me in meetings, because every time I was going, like years ago, into a meeting with more senior people, I was feeling the dread. And I was feeling like, okay, I do have something to contribute, but maybe not now, or maybe I will tell them offline. And that was a clear signal that it was happening for me. Is this what you, and at the
Right.
organizational level, as Despo was saying, there should be, this appropriate culture and so on. But I think even if there is a culture of inclusivity, if we bring those societal norms with us and upbringing, for example, like we might have been, brought up the way that girls are always quiet, and girls don't sit quiet, and that they don't volunteer, they need to be good girls and so on. And if this mindset, you are coming to an organization, even if it's inclusive, it will be a little bit harder for you to break through it. But as you said, I think awareness is key.
Right. No, thank you. Those are great points. Thanks so much.
Sure, thank you for the question. And Marta, you asked if anyone have strategies on how to find a sponsor from outside the organization. Yeah, that's what you wanted to know.
Yes, that's correct. I think inside is quite easy to find, but outside I find it a bit difficult to identify the people who would be responsive to this type of coaching. And of course, there are more senior people. I just want to ask how tangibly people have done it and what was the most successful for them.
Yeah, so I think there is, again, I ask people to chime in if you have any strategies that they would like to share. I think for me, there is a couple of things. One is, I think it will depend whether you want a coach or a mentor. There is a slight difference. Mentor is someone who has been in the role that you are in, or in the similar, like, challenges. They've been there, they've done it, and they will be helping you find solutions by example. And they will say, like, do this, do that. They will be giving you strategies. So it's important that this person has a similar background, kind of. And for coach, it's different, because coach is working with you for you to find the answers to the questions, the answers that you don't even know that exist already with you. So it's helping you with this process. And for professional coaches, they oftentimes blend those two, mentoring and coaching, because this is what I do, because I think it's a really, really efficient way. I can dig into my own experience in the corporate world and being a mentor, but I can also work with someone to empower them to think by themselves and to find solutions by themselves. And this is coaching. So I think another thing here is that if you're looking for a mentor, for example, outside of your organization, think about the organization that you used to work before in. So if it's not your first role now, you must have worked somewhere else, and there must have been someone who you admired or who you think is a role model, whose career you like. Or if there is no one because it's your first job, you can always think about someone that you met at the university times, for example. Because you need a sounding board, unless you need someone who will tell you specifically what to do in a specific role, then you need to anyway to look perhaps inside of your organization. But outside, it can be anyone who is in your mind, more senior, more experienced, and who you trust and who you respect and whose views you respect. And that's the best way, because ideally for your sponsor or mentor, sponsor specifically, you would like someone who knows you a bit. But there is nothing preventing you from reaching out to people who you don't know. Like, of course, reaching out to coaches and mentors. Reaching out to coaches and mentors is easy in the way that there is a lot of coaches out there, and you need to choose someone who would resonate with you, whose experience will resonate with you, who you like, and so on. This most likely will be a paid service. But also there is a lot of organizations that are providing free mentoring sessions, programs even, and this is what you can go for. I don't know, does it answer your question, Marta?
Yes, very, very much. And thank you so much for writing in chat, and thank you for answering. That's very practical. And I think I have some cues where to start with. I'll try to make a tangible goals to start with now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Isabella,
Yes.
may I just add something? And I know I've spoken a lot, but I'm part of this. Just to help Marta as well. I mean, the key here is not to be shy. You know, so if you go up to people and they're at conferences or events or networking, that's also a way that you can have a mentor in the true sense of the word, or you can go and ask people advice in that as well. And I found 9 times out of 10 people are quite flattered, and then you do have the people that ghost you too. But I'm part of this Reach Advisory Board, and they created, and you should look whether your company is partnering with other companies or whether they are in your regions. But in our region, so we take different companies and we cross-mentor them. So we have a mentor and a mentee. And so my head of marketing at one stage was mentoring somebody at HSBC in the audit team. And she got 2 promotions in 9 months. So you could actually even get your company to start something like that, a partnership with other organizations, mentors or coaches, you know, like Isabella, etc., and have this cross-mentoring happening. It is amazing how people grow and learn.
Spot on. Thank you, Despo. Absolutely. And I think in many big organizations there are those initiatives, and as you say, if they don't exist, let's go and make them happen ourselves. And I really like your comment about there's always someone you can go for advice. And with a question. That's and also what I liked was, as you say, people are usually flattered if you go to them and say, I would like to get your point of view, and I admire what you do, and I really respect you, and I value your point of view or your perspective. Could you please help me with this or that? I think this is also good. I found it practical to do it on LinkedIn as well, and I've done it myself, and I know it works. Reaching out to people in companies that you like and profiles of people that you like and admire. What I used to do was write to them and say, I really like your career is impressive. I really like what you have done. And would you find a couple of minutes to discuss with me, because I would like to learn more about your journey. And I was surprised how many people would really find time to talk to me, because it's if you think about it, it's, as Despo said, it's very flattering. to people. They will all of a sudden, they may also have an imposter syndrome, and all of a sudden someone is reaching out to them and saying, wow, you are fantastic. And they are like, oh, am I? And so I think this is, and provided you do it genuinely, but you want to do it genuinely because you are reaching out to people who you admire for what they have done, or people you trust or respect. And there's one more question from Shahnaz. Could you suggest a good book on imposter syndrome, like a self-help one? I do suggest, and that's what you may think about, or as others, but definitely How Women Rise. It's not specifically imposter, but it's what's holding women back and strategies to combat it. It's How Women Rise. It's a fantastic book done by Marshall Goldsmith. He's a fantastic coach. And her name is Sally Helgesen. I would start with that because it's a fantastic book, and I think I mentioned at this forum the other day that Marshall Goldsmith, who is an elderly gentleman now, a fantastic coach, and apparently the most paid coach on the planet, he wrote a book. You may have heard about this book. What brought you here will not bring you there. It was essentially about you got promoted and what next, and the strategies that you use to get promoted to this role most likely will not get you any higher. And he was explaining why. He was giving strategies for leaders and senior leaders how to get to behave and how to act in their new role. And then when he was doing, he was getting feedback and doing some more research, he discovered that those strategies don't work for women. Because some of those strategies were playing to men's type of I don't know, approach and character and features, and it doesn't apply to women. For example, like one of them was don't be that pushy anymore, or don't be that aggressive, if you like. And for women, you need to tell them or us, yeah, do be pushy, and some will call it aggressive, but it's about being assertive. So because this is what happened, he and his fellow coach Sally wrote another book specifically for women about how women rise, and it's like 12 habits that hold women back, like the disease to please, or the perfectionism trap, or reluctance to claim achievements, and so on. And they are giving actionable strategies. So that's this one, and I've seen that Despo is putting another 2 books. Thank you so much, specifically on imposter syndrome. Thank you, Despo. Ladies, any more questions or comments? Anyone?
Thank you, Isabella. This was a great session. This was my first time joining you. I loved the presentation and all the discussion. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you, Shahnaz. Thank you so much. And I do hope it's not your first and last session. Please come back.
Not at all.
Yeah, thank you
Yes.
so much for your contribution. Ladies, if there are
Thank
no
you,
more...
Isa. As always, I joined late, but it was very great. Thank you so much for sharing all that. You were just like you were a gem. Thanks.
Thank you, Kinga.
Bye.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Isabella.
Yeah, thank you, ladies. If you need any advice or anything, please reach out, and please join me next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Isa.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Goodbye.
Isabella.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.